Hey gang, we are at the fire pit on a foggy, rainy day in Wisconsin. No fires right now, but there's dry wood under there ready for a campfire, a bonfire, and a story. And wouldn't it be a spooky story that we would tell? Of course. Yeah, so I have a spooky story for you. It comes from the Paranormal Channel. Did it a couple years ago. For some of you, it's going to be a replay, but for many of you, it's not. But the real purpose of this introduction and video, I wanted to do it at the fire pit, and then I thought, oh, a lot of you haven't seen this ghost story. And there's that creepy house that's in this area, the ghost house. Maybe I'll do a little montage of that for you. But the main purpose, I'm going to start this video, the introduction, with my visit to UK. I went to Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. And what I was really after there, you know, aside from the usual stuff, was to see the horror part. You know, the part where they have the guy in the iron boots with the oil and the screaming and the torture and the rack and the guillotine and all that kind of stuff. And I was really surprised because I didn't see any of that. All they had was, so I shouldn't say all they had, but it was like 1800s and 1900s criminals. Jack the Ripper and all that kind of stuff. So I have to say I was very disappointed, but I did film. There's the spooky trail. We don't go down there at night. Slippery it is. This goes way down along the lake. And there's a ghost house there. Way down there. I'll include a little bit of that for those of you that haven't seen that. Anyway, but Ripley's, Madame Tussauds, get those two always confused. I was disappointed because I didn't, but anyway, I'm going to show that. And then they had this cool experience, so I'll start this right after this. I'll get to it right now, where you go on these little mini taxi cab rides, and if you go through like old London, and they have all these little sets, and it was pretty cool. And then we'll do a little bit of the horror, and then I'm going to jump to some of the pre-published stuff from the Paranormal Channel that a lot of you guys probably haven't seen. That is perfect for Halloween. And if you've seen it, you can skip it after we get out of Madame Tussauds, if you will. So from the fire pit, I will tell a spooky story. Well, one I told 2 years ago here, if you haven't seen it. All right, guys, here we go.
This time, numbers will stir from the ruins of afar. A new cathedral arose to fill the sky with glory. oi, oi! I'm about to take your photo. Oi, oi, oi! I'm about to take your photo. Oi, oi, oi! I'm about to take your photo. Oi, oi, oi! I'm about to take your photo. Photo. Oi, oi, oi! I'm about to
Dr. Corley Harvey Griffith, may Lord have mercy on your soul.
next thing I do, I'll clip the lady's ears off.
Dr. Corley Harvey Griffith, may Lord have mercy on your soul. Dr. Corley Harvey Griffith, may Lord have mercy on your soul.
I love my work, and I shall not stop. The next thing I do, I'll clip the lady's ears off. I'll keep my word. I'll see you ripped up.
Here making the fire about a half hour ago. It was just getting going, and let's put this down here, and I was just about to leave to go in the house. I'm going to stoke this a little bit. And I heard a very strange sound. Now, I'm not trying to dramatize, but of course there's a lot of sounds here in the woods. No big deal, right? All kinds of animals. But what was strange about it was something like between a wolf and an owl. Now, we have wolves here. We have gray wolves, okay? And they're very afraid of humans. They stay way far away from us. And I know what their call is. In fact, here at this place across the lake, I know how to call them once in a great while. You know, if you get really late and get far out there, they will call back. Now, we have gray wolves here, but as you know, I've spent 15 years, 20 years in the Arctic. So I know an Arctic wolf howl. I know Ontario, flying my de Havilland beaver there many years ago on Rainy Lake. I know what a timber wolf sounds like, and I know what a gray wolf sounds like. And this sound that I heard about 100 yards, on our land back here, back in this direction. It was between an owl and a wolf. I've never heard anything like it. Now, a wolf sound, basically, it's a high, drawn out, and like it's kind of like, oh. The ducks are listening. So, but this was not that. That was not the sound of a wolf, but it was not, woo, woo. Great horned owl, we have great horn. We got all kinds of owls here, but maybe we'll hear it. Now, the story that I'm going to tell you, has to do with an exorcism, a real exorcism, not with a priest, with the family. On a lake, a chain of lakes where we had our place. We were on a lake called Fence Lake, like a fence, Fence. And we were in a bay called Mars Bay on the south end. Yes, it's the Mars Candy family owned this peninsula and this whole bunch of land in that bay and named it, still named Mars Bay. There's Johnson Point, Johnson Wax, some big money people were there. Well, we had a fairly modest place, but the unique thing about our place was that it was the first place that was built, or the second, I'm not sure which, back in the early 1900s, before people really were coming up here. We were the first people on that lake, and it was a log cabin. And when we owned it, it was called Kodiak Lodge. And those of you who are up here and on Highway F on Fence Lake, you'll probably remember Kodiak Lodge. It's gone now, and there's a reason it's gone. We're going to talk about it. So we lived there, and we had a couple of acres. We had some land, some good frontage space. Nothing like this where, I don't like to hear anything. I want to be in the wild. And we were getting along, and family, the kids were young. And we had some strange occurrences happening. Now, what we found out later, there's a legend of Rose Wounded Feather. There was a legend of her with the Ojibwe chief's daughter. There was a parlay with the Dakota centuries ago. The story's been handed down, and she fell in love with the Dakota chief's son, but they couldn't, they couldn't be married. They couldn't be together. So he came one night to her down the chain to, they say, Mars Bay, where we were. And there was others that followed him that forcibly took him back. The Dakota Braves, they were sent out because the father knew what he was doing. And he had some moments with her there, and he promised he would be back. And she waited for him for a week, for a month. She would always go to the bay and stand by the water, waiting for his canoe to come back. And he never came back. And she died there eventually. And they say you can hear her in the wind, you can hear her cries. And I can say there's been some spooky nights, but I'm going to tell you right off what we didn't know is where our house was situated. Our cabin that was built way back when was, I believe, over some Indian burial grounds. So this would explain possibly some of the events. And again, this ties into all the Native American history here in a very tenuous way. So the first thing that started happening in our place, the kids were growing up, and we were just, strange noises. It was a one-story cabin. It was so old, but it had that really character. And in the middle of the house, we had the living room and the kitchen. And in the middle of the house, there was what we called the bunk room. We had 3 bunk beds in there, so 6 kids. But weird, in the middle of the floor, there was a hatch door right in the middle, going down to the cellar. And the kids would say they would hear strange noises down there and things. And of course, come on. And we never made a big deal about it. And then one day, my son, Danny, was in the bathroom, and there's a big window. As you sit down to go to the bathroom, there's a big window, like right in front. It's up higher, but you're staring off into a window into darkness. And all of a sudden there was like an image, like a face. So he was always afraid to go in there. And then in the bunk room, things continued. And then we had a family member. I'm not going to say who, but there was some extended family that we believe was in that bunk room, and there was a possession. And I'm not going to go into too much of the detail, but a lot of animals hear a lot of noises, but that's typical. The animals are moving at night. But it would result in the sisters. My wife, she has 3 sisters. Her mother, Mamacita, and she knows the old ways, and they ended up on the kitchen floor holding him down, performing an exorcism, an Ecuadorian exorcism. I didn't witness that, but it was in the middle of the night, and I thought I heard some stuff, but on the other side of the cabin, nobody wanted to wake anybody and make it worse. So they prayed and they went through a ritual, and of course, it got taken care of. And I'm gonna put another couple of logs on the fire here. So, okay, a few years pass, and we're still having some of these strange events happening. There. And I'm kind of getting, I don't know about this place. It's a really cool place, but now the kids are kind of getting scared, and how old were they? Well, they were like 8, 10, 12. And we had our daughter, who was passed on, Milena. I think she was about 15, I'm going to say. And she had invited up a boy. His name was Lazo. Now, I don't remember much about him. I mean, this is going back almost 20 years. He was a nice kid. And he was so excited because off our pier there, we had a fish crib underwater. And it was an old pier, actually, that was there. And the fish you could just go to the pier, and every cast you could catch a bass or caught all sorts of stuff. So he wanted to catch a walleye. And that was his big dream. And he never even went fishing before. So, make a long story short, he went out. That day, he caught a walleye. We never caught the walleye. We caught bass and others, so we never caught a walleye. They're more deeper water. I mean, the water there is only like 5 feet deep, crystal clear. With the sand, you could see the fish. So it wasn't at night. Usually he'll catch it. So anyway, all excited. I mean, it was the best day of his life. We had dinner, beer butt chicken on the Weber. We had, all the good stuff, eating outside, and they had the bonfire. It was a great experience. And this Lazo was just taking it all in. He was a city boy. He never really experienced this. And he was just on a super high. It was all good. So we went to bed and we went to sleep. And apparently, now I didn't hear about this until the next day, but that bunk room again. So Milena was in, Danny and Nathan weren't there, but it was Milena in one bed, and then Lazo in a bed, and then Chrissy was in another bed, who's our niece. And it was 2 a.m, and this was told to me. I slept right through it all, and I'm probably glad I did. But Milena just came into her mom was in the other room and went to her and just said, Mom, something's, not her mom, Chrissy's mom, Auntie Norma, and said, something's wrong with Lazo, something's wrong with Lazo. So they, went back in the room, I guess, and they had to turn the lights on, and he was in the bed thrashing around. And he flew out of the bed, he's on the floor, and they're like, what is going on? And they looked at his eyes, and his eyes were dilated. He said his eyes were black. Now, he had like medium brown eyes, but his eyes were just black, like big black eyeballs. And he's thrashing around on the floor. They said they knew immediately it was a possession. So they started to pray, and Milena was holding his legs down, and he was foaming at the mouth. He was speaking in not languages, but he just had this guttural, half female, half male. That's how they described it. Half male, half female, just this really weird voice, and saying all kinds of nasty, weird stuff. It wasn't even as like swearing, it was just weird. They were holding him down. I just remember they said Milena had his legs, and they're holding his shoulders, his hands, and they're saying, I believe in the Lord our Savior. And that was what they would say. I believe. And they were like, say it, say it. I believe in the Lord our Savior. And finally he screamed out, I believe in the Lord our Savior. And it stopped. It just stopped suddenly. He looked and he said, why am I on the floor? He had no memory of what happened. He was all confused. He was all sweaty. He knew something weird had happened. So that event happened. Like I said, we don't know. I'm not saying it was the devil. I'm not saying, that wasn't particularly an exorcism. The prior one was, they followed the ritual, a whole ritual in the kitchen floor. But yeah, the next day he was back to himself, and we just went on with everything. But that's when I decided we're going to sell this place. That really freaked us out. So we sold the place, and we come to find out later now on the one corner of the property is actually near the street. And back in those days, I would mow the lawn on a sitting tractor, and I would go, at the edge there in the trees, and there was and there was always mounds in there. And I always thought these mounds were, is that where, the prior people, is that where they dumped the lawn refuse, like the clippings and stuff? And I found out no. And we come to find out those were Indian burial. Now, we never messed with it, but who knows, that whole area could have been Indian burial grounds. And that house is gone. The new owners came, and that thing is gone. I don't know what happened. They have a beautiful home there now, more modern. But it's interesting, within a year, I flew over with my plane. I would always fly in low and kind of buzz it and the memories, and I flew in, and it was just a sand lot. It was clean, it was gone. And then another year later, that was a couple years later, I think. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that story with you here at the bonfire on this beautiful night. Hey gang, we are in the deep north woods of Wisconsin, and I'm looking for the location of a lost cabin, the ruins of a cabin. And 2 hunters died there. back in the 1940s. I don't know if it was the early 40s or, you know, pre-World War II or post. I think it was after World War II. So yeah, I think that you have to wonder, are there paranormal energies there? Are there spirits that remain? When people die, sometimes they can't escape this world, some say. Look at that. What is that? Oh, it looks like looks like an oil tank. Check that out. Yeah, fuel storage tank. All rusted away. Check that out. It's riveted. Oh, look at this. What the heck is this? Okay, we gotta be close. I'm finding some stuff here. I have no idea what that is. And look over there. There's something weird. Really weird over there. This looks like a modern ladder. I wonder if someone's using this as a deer stand. Oh no. That's old. I mean, it's not real old. But it goes up to some tower. What do you suppose that is? I found a bunker or something here. Look at this. Looks like a crypt. Maybe a wine cellar, who knows? I don't have my flashlight. Whoa, this is freaky. We're gonna have to come back with the electronics with Britain for this. Holy cow. So it is fall, it is October. The colors are all turning. Beautiful up here. Oh, look at this. We found it, no wonder. Yeah, all this stuff, right? Oh man, that looks creepy, guys. Look at that window up there. The attic, I wonder if we can get up there. I wonder if we should go. So I know we can get in. If I have to get in, I'll go through that window. Oh wow, look at this. There's a porch caved in. We're gonna have to be really careful here. 20th century. Oh wow. Are you kidding me? Look at this. This looks intact, unfound. What the heck is that? Is that a stove? It looks like a stove. Oh man. I'm just poking in the window here. This is wild. We're going in. Oh, the front door. That's the front door, I think. And that is open. All right, let's check it out. Oh my God, there's a light on. No, it's a mirror. Oh my God. It's a mirror. I thought that was a light. So let's just take a close-up on some of the artifacts as we go. Again, we're gonna have to be really careful. Yeah, this is not. We're gonna have to go step by step. You're gonna have to bear with me here. You wanna check this out. Yeah, hunting lodge. These were the beds. The old bed springs. Huh? Look at that. All right, this might help us. There's some type of mattress. 3950. It's a 3950 spring air. Now I'm looking at this. Seems like 1960s maybe. I don't know. But I was told that this was the 1940s when this happened. So I don't know. That can be a clue. Well, it doesn't mean that. I mean, this place had to be built in the early part of the 1900s. Of course, we got glass all over the place. What is this? Look at this. Is it for fishing? A log with a hook. All right, let's go inside, man. Fireplace, so this would be the grand entry. There are a lot of artifacts here, guys. So I'm guessing this place was built in the early 1900s, maybe the 1920s, and probably served till the 1960s. That's going to be my guess. Now, it looks like there used to be a mirror up here, shattered. You know, the other thing I've got to look out for, guys, just thinking of this now, and believe me, we may be like flying out of here, and I'm not afraid of any ghosts, but I'm more afraid of humans or a bear that might be using this place. Animals, big animals use places like this to hunker down and claim it. Look at that fireplace, it still has some logs, and I gotta be careful. The floor seems pretty solid. Okay, the mantle is, looks like it's made of square stones. Interesting, let's move on. Lots of beds. Oh, that's where Granny sat. Oh, this is creepy. I gotta tell you, this gives me a chilling feeling. I just don't know what the circumstances were. And I'll tell you what, we are not going in here. Oh man, look at this. So there is some kind of cellar. I'm just gonna put this down here. Well, it looks like a crawl space. But look how thin that floor is. Medicine cabinet. Bloody Mary. This is where to do Bloody Mary. Oh, this is where to do the Bloody Mary verse. Oh boy, no. Off limits for me. We already pushed that one. Got out unscathed. Well, I don't know if we're unscathed. What is this? Looks like a school desk. Oh, it's a warped table. All right, let's continue on. I don't know where to go. There's a lot to do. A lot to see here. So we got a wash sink, right? Oh, there's an old fixture. Now, I'm guessing this was the kitchen. So there's that stove we saw, or is this a washer? No, it's a stove because I see a stovepipe that goes up and out. Interesting. So this was more of an efficiency stove back in the day. Oh boy. Do you see what I see? Stairs. Stairs that lead up. Now, we gotta be really careful. Let's see what's going on. Oh yeah, this goes to the attic. All right, we're definitely gonna check that out. I just wanna see the rest of... There's another one of these death fridges. I call these death fridges. There's the coils. Oh, you can't see, it's pretty dark. Let's get over here. Oh, this is the kitchen, okay. This is the kitchen, guys. Of course, the fridge, duh. This was the stove, or is what's left of the stove. A lot of artifacts here. L. Looks like a cup. Oh, look at this. Old coffee cup. My, oh my. What stories could that tell? There's a hot water. Yeah, this is an old hot water unit. Look what's behind it. Isn't that interesting? So all that water was gravity fed by these pipes. See these pipes here? It's a whole complex piping system. There's another more modern stove. Oh, there's the burners. What's interesting is, I don't know, what, there's gas lines. Let's just see what's over here. I don't see, here's a glass. Oh, there's a bunch of excrement. That is all excrement. I don't know if you can see it. That's where we were outside, the collapsed porch. All right, we're going upstairs, baby. Let's go. I gotta watch when I'm walking. The floor feels okay. All right, let's go upstairs. I'm gonna stay near the edges. Well, so far so good. There's no handrail. No handrail. Let's go grab this. Oh, wow. What did they do up here, you gotta wonder, huh? What was going on up here? Oh, what do I see here? What are these? The heck are these? Are those small bed frames? They are about barely maybe 30 inches wide. And then there's some kind of fencing here. I don't know if you can see it. I think those are bed frames. So that's the chimney to the fireplace below. The floor seems okay. And I'll tell you what, there's some craftsmanship. This was all built by hand, wouldn't you say? Yeah, there's the water tower. That's where we came in, right there. Of the window frame. Interesting. Look at that, all handmade. It still operates. Okay, well, now if there's there's a crawl space, maybe they just can get to it only from outside. I really don't want to venture in here. This floor is completely unstable, but I've got something here to stand on. That's but look at this. The old pillows. Imagine. Look at this old blanket. Oh, this is creepy, man. Probably sitting here for at least 50 years. Untouched. Unmoved. All right, let's go. All right. Let us depart. All right, guys.